Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am super excited to share with you the brand new 2021 to 23 Stampin' Up! In colors. Now, the new annual catalog goes live 1 week from today. Who's excited? I can't wait. So many awesome new products coming. So many new products that I've already got in my hot little hands because we demonstrators get to order a whole month early. And there's also some awesome new promotions coming. So many good things coming just 7 days from today. But today we are all about the new in colors. I wanted to showcase them. I'm spending the whole week focusing on the new in colors. So today we are going to look at all 5. We're going to do 3 projects that use all 5 in colors on each card. And then throughout the rest of the week this week, I'm going to be showcasing a different in color each day. So you're going to want to be sure that you're following me here on Facebook and over on Instagram so that you don't miss a single post. All right. Okay, let's see who is here joining me. I'm just going to refresh my page here and pull up my video so I can see who's watching. Hello, Krista, Gail, Laura, Ann, Debbie. Thank you so much for joining me today. All right. Thanks for sharing, Gail. I so appreciate it. So we are about the in colors. Now, can you all name the new 5 in colors? Can you? We shall see. So we have, I can't even name them, pale papaya, polished pink, soft succulent, fresh freesia, and evening evergreen. Gorgeous colors. So without further ado, I am going to flip my camera. I'm going to talk a little bit about the in colors. I'm going to show you some color comparisons with current colors that we have. Hello, Kathy Angus. I just saw you pop up on my screen. Hello, Anne. How are you? I don't know how to do closed captioning in a live. I have no idea how to set that up. So that's something I'm going to have to investigate. I know afterwards you'll be able to watch the replay with closed captions, but I'm not sure how to do that in a live. So I apologize. All right. So let's flip the camera. Look away for a sec. I'm going to flip the camera and we're going to get to it. All right. Here we go. Get my cable out of the way here so that we can see without a cable in the way. There we go. That should work. All right. So here we go. 5 gorgeous new colors. These colors work so beautifully together. You're going to see them in action on all 3 projects today. But I just thought I'd take a second and share some color comparisons between these colors, the new colors, and some current colors that we currently have in our palette. So I'm just going to set these ink pads aside as soon as I find space. I got too much stuff on my desk today. So let's start with Evening Evergreen. So Evening Evergreen is a really dark hunter green. There is nothing like it in our color palette. And I know when I first saw it, I thought, okay, do we really need another green? Really? We have lots of greens. Well, I pulled out some greens that I thought were close. And it turns out they're not even a little bit close. So there is Shaded Spruce. Okay, so Evening Evergreen and Shaded Spruce. Not even close. Here is Evening Evergreen and Mossy Meadow. Also not even close. And then finally, Evening Evergreen and Garden Green. So as you can see, Evening Evergreen is a totally different green from anything else that we have in our palette. So that's the Evening Evergreen. Let's move on to something a little bit brighter and bolder. So next up we have Polished Pink. Okay, so Polished Pink is this pink right here. It's a perfect medium pink, if you ask me. And again, I thought, okay, it's just like Melon Mambo. Melon Mambo is one of my favorites, and I thought, why do I need Polished Pink? It's just like Melon Mambo. Well, here's Melon Mambo. Big difference. Polished Pink, Melon Mambo. Not even close. And then I thought, okay, well, how far can it be from Magenta Madness? Well, there's Magenta Madness. Polished Pink, Magenta Madness. Also not even close. And then I thought, okay, it's got to be just like Flirty Flamingo. Well, not even close. Polished Pink and Flirty Flamingo. So as you can see, once again, Polished Pink is nothing like any other pink that we have in our color lineup. So that is our Polished Pink. Okay. And next up, let's talk about Pale Papaya. Now, Pale Papaya is a truly unique color. It is a really soft sort of peach, yellowy peach. So that's the Pale Papaya. I thought I would compare it to Petal Pink, which has a bit of a blush tone to it. But this is much more pink, right? So this is Pale Papaya and Petal Pink. And then I thought, well, maybe it's closer to So Saffron. Well, there's So Saffron. So really not close either. And then just by point of comparison, I pulled in Calypso Coral as well. Now, Calypso Coral looks beautiful with the Pale Papaya. And just look how fantastic this color combo is. If I put those three together, it's such a lovely, warm combo. So there's your Pale Papaya, Calypso Coral, Petal Pink, and So Saffron. All right, so let's go to Fresh Freesia. Fresh Freesia. Whoops, that's not Fresh Freesia. There's Fresh Freesia. Now, I thought it was very close to Purple Posy, which is one of our outgoing ink colors, but there is Purple Posy, which is much, much paler. Okay, so Fresh Freesia, Purple Posy. So then I compared it with Highland Heather. So there's Fresh Freesia and Highland Heather. And then Fresh Freesia with Gorgeous Grape. Okay, so again, quite a contrast between Fresh Freesia and other current purples that we have. So this is going to really fill a hole that Purple Posy is going to leave for a softer purple. Okay, so there is Fresh Freesia. And then finally, we have Soft Succulent. So there is our Soft Succulent. And I thought, okay, it looks exactly like Mint Macaron. Well, here's Mint Macaron. Not so close at all. Oh, is that Mint Macaron? Yes, it is. Sorry, I thought I had the wrong cardstock. So that's Soft Succulent and Mint Macaron. And then here is Pool Party. Okay, so Soft Succulent and Pool Party. And then finally, Soft Succulent and Just Jade. Okay, so there's quite a contrast between those current colors as well. Soft Succulent, Just Jade, Pool Party, and Mint Macaron. Okay. All right, so let's get to some projects. So our first project today is this one. I posted this last night, and it involves using the Stamparatus. So I'm going to show you the hinge step technique using the Stamparatus. Now I have already done all of the coloring ahead of time, so you don't have to watch me do all the coloring, because that could be a little bit tedious, but I am going to show you how I did the stamping. So I'm going to bring in, first of all, the bundle that I use. This is a brand new bundle. Will be available next week. It's called Flowers of Friendship. Fantastic stamp set. Awesome for thank you cards, right? Great floral sentiments and a coordinating punch. Gotta love punches. And to make this card, we're going to use our Stamparatus. Now, when you're using your Stamparatus, I need to grab my stamp set back here. I put it too far away. It's helpful to have something, an empty stamp case or just your stamp case that you're using underneath when you open up your plate so that you have a hard surface to ink your stamp against. Okay, so to start, I have a piece of basic white cardstock. It's 4 by 5 1/4, quarter inches, I should say. And I'm going to put this into my onto my plate. I've already kind of gauged where it's going to go. So it's going to go on right about there. And I have already positioned my stamp where I'm going to want it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp with my Memento black ink. And then just go ahead and close my plate. I'm not going to press super hard. And there's my stamped image. Then I'm going to lift my plate out and move the hinge down 1. This is why it's called the hinge step technique, because we're just going to move our plate down 1 step each time we stamp, and look at that, we get perfectly spaced repeating images. So we're going to do this 4 times in total. So there's 3, and 1 more time we'll do 4. Super easy. Okay, the Stamparatus is an awesome tool for making repeating images perfectly spaced, or for making multiples of cards. Okay, really, really quick and easy. So let's get this out of the way and get the stamp set out of the way, and I will show you how I cut this beautiful scalloped edge. Now there's a new set of dies coming in the catalog. It's called Basic Borders, I believe. I want to make sure. Yes, basic border dies. And it includes 6 different dies that cut different borders or edges on your panels. So for this one, I just took my stamped panel and I ran it through my die cut machine using this die, just like that. Okay, and what I ended up with this adorable scalloped edge, which is just such a nice different finish on your panel. Okay, I added a little bit of new DSP. I'm not going to get into all the DSP. This is from a gorgeous suite called Pansies, something to do with pansies. I can't remember the name of it right now. Somebody will tell me. And so that's where this DSP is from. Okay, so as you can see here, I have my panel that I've already colored and cut through the magic of television. Or just magic of doing things ahead of time. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue, first of all, our DSP strip and our panel to the front of our card base. Now this card base is Evening Evergreen cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches. It's scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we're going to go ahead and fold that in half along our score line. And then I'm going to glue my DSP panel down so that I have an equal border on 3 sides. I'm not going to worry about down here, but I want to make sure my border is equal on 3 sides there. So to do that, sometimes it's easier to use the liquid glue just so that you can kind of wiggle it into position. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. Again, just making sure I have an equal border on 3 sides. Now it is tricky to see the border here because I've got Evening Evergreen in the DSP against the Evening Evergreen cardstock. So it may look like it's uneven, but you have to take my word for it. It really is. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and glue our stamped panel on. And when I glue it this time, I'm going to be making sure that I have an equal border at the top and 2 sides. The other thing that I'm going to, if I've done this and measured correctly, it will automatically line up with my DSP. Okay, but I'm going to make sure as I'm gluing it down that it in fact does and that I haven't mismeasured. So we're going to go ahead and glue that on. I should mention my DSP strip is 1 1/2 by 4 inches. It's a great way to use just a little bit of DSP and get lots of mileage out of your DSP packs. So there we go. There is my pretty little panel. And now we have a whole bunch of stamped and colored and punched flowers. So these again were stamped using the Flowers of Friendship stamp set and punched using the coordinating punch. I colored them using the coordinating colors of, shouldn't have put that away, coordinating colors of blends. So we've got Polished Pink, we've got Soft Succulent, Fresh Freesia, and Pale Papaya. So we're going to go ahead and layer these. Now, on here, I actually, after I made this, I kind of thought it would look better if I only did a single flower. What do you think? If I do single flowers, you tell me. Single flower all the way up or double flower? You tell me. I'm willing to change my design. Give me some feedback. What do you think, folks? Hi, Deb. Hi, Antoinette. Happy Tuesday to you too. Hi, Jen. So what do you think? Should I do doubles again or should I switch to singles? Double, Deb? Okay, Deb says doubles. I'm taking her word for it. So to create our double flower, first thing we're going to do is just burnish the petals of each one of our punched flowers, just to give them a little bit of a curl. You really want to curl the top one more than the bottom one. And then we're just going to put a little dab of liquid glue. Oh, Gail says single. Laura says single. Oh, we have conflict. Well, Deb was first one in with a comment, so Deb wins for today. Hi, Krista. All right, so we've got our petal pink. So we're going to just layer those so that they're offset ever so slightly. And then we're going to curl our freesia flowers. Again, it's just a really gentle little burnish with your bone folder. You don't have to curl them too much. Little dab of glue in the center. And again, just offset the petals. Now this one's curled a little bit much, so we're going to flatten that one a bit. And oh, we've got disagreements all over the place. Some people think double, some people feel strongly about the single. After I designed it, I kind of thought, the single kind of is consistent with the flower that's in the background. But, you know, sometimes we second guess ourselves, right? We make something and then we kind of look at it and go, is that really as good as I could do? right, and then one more with the pale papaya. So we'll give this a little curl. And this one too. Hi Claire, how are you doing today? Let's add a little bit of glue here and pop that one on. All right, so there we have our beautiful flowers. Now to adhere these to the card, we're going to just put a dimensional on the back of each one. So I'm going to start in that kind of upper left corner. So we're going to put a dimensional on the back of our pale papaya. And that's just going to layer right over top of that last flower there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my polished pink one at the bottom. And that's just to kind of make sure that I balance these as I put them on. So my Freesia is going to go there. My Succulent is going to go there. That looks good. So again, we're going to add a dimensional to the back of each. So we'll go one there and one there. Oh, Claire, I'm loving these two colors too. Or these new colors, not two colors, all 5 colors. They're beautiful. All right, so there are our flowers. Now, the last touch on these flowers, well, there's 2 touches. One, of course, is to add some wink. So we're just gonna bling these up a little bit by adding just a little brush of Wink of Stella to each flower. This probably won't show up well on the video. It generally doesn't. But you have to take my word for it. It just adds a nice subtle bit of shimmer. And then we are definitely going to add some bling using the new In Color gems. Now these are gorgeous. They're kind of pearlescent or opalescent, and they match our In Colors beautifully. And for these, I'm going to use one of each of the large. There's a large and a small size. I'm using the large in the center. So I've got a pale papaya, and then I've got a Succulent, and a Freesia. Now I have used, as you can see, lots of these already. We were only allowed to pre-order 1 pack of these. I think Stampin' Up knew that once we saw these that we would want like 50 packs. So they limited us on what we could pre-order. So there are our flowers. Our last touch on this is to stamp our sentiment. Now my sentiment is from a new sentiment set called Inspired Thoughts. Okay, it's got a gorgeous font. I love the font in this. And there are some coordinating dies. I will show you the dies another time, but this is a beautiful stamp set. So I'm just stamping the hello. Now my challenge with this, of course, is going to be lining this up on this little teeny tiny label. We shall see how it goes. I actually cut a second one just to be on the safe side in case I totally screwed this up. I'm going to move it closer to me in the hopes of actually getting this centered. And I am going to do a little practice run just to make sure I get it straight. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. Oh, that was not bad. Does anybody else get really excited when it's straight? I sure do. All right, so that is going to go on the front of our card with a couple of mini dimensionals. These little labels are cut using the Messages die. That's the one that cuts a whole whack of labels all at once. And I love having just a stash of these on my desk whenever I'm designing. And I can just pull whatever I need out and it's good to go. So we are going to adhere this to the front of our card. Now, here's another question. I was debating when I was making this whether to put my sentiment here or down here. And I went back and forth and back and forth. What do you think? Sentiment down below or sentiment where it is on my sample? I'm going to wait a sec for you guys to give me some feedback. So sentiment down here or up here? Hi, Sue and Bonnie. Debbie likes it below. So Debbie wins. Okay, Antoinette says down as well. We're going to put it down here. There we go. So there are 2 options. One below, one above. I think it shows up more. It pops more down below. Oh, look, see, you guys were, I should have gone with my gut initially. I initially was going to design it down here and I moved it up there at the last minute. So there you go. 2 different options for a really simple card, but that features all of the new In Color. So that is option or card number 1. All right, we're going to clear out some of our mess here and move on to number 2. So number 2, where did it go? I just had it. Oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind, you guys. I literally just had it. Where'd my card go? Okay, I don't know what just happened to my sample for this. Did I drop it? Oh, yes, I did. Okay, thought I was losing my mind. This is card number 2. I posted it earlier today, and this is one that you would not suspect uses all 5 of the ink colors. I wanted to show you how changing the color of the cardstock that you're actually stamping on can dramatically impact the appearance of these colors. So I decided to try stamping on Sahara Sand cardstock instead of with basic white. And I gotta tell you, I was really excited by the result. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I did. First of all, I should mention the gorgeous stamp set that I used. This stamp set is called Quiet Meadow. It comes with some beautiful dies. This one I can see I'm going to be using a whole lot. Now this is a bundle that is not part of a suite in the new catalog. It's kind of a standalone bundle, and it is gorgeous. So I love this stamp set. I've already done a ton with it. You're going to see a lot from me using this set. But I'm going to show you how I created this card using all of the ink colors. So I'm just putting it on my stamps. So to start, I'm going to stamp this large sort of bouquet of flowers in Evening Evergreen. Okay, so again, it's a large stamp. So when we have a large stamp, the easiest way to ink that up is to take our ink pad directly to the stamp rather than vice versa. That just helps us to make sure that we are covering the entire surface of the stamp. And we are going to stamp this, and we want to make sure that the bottom edge of our flowers is kind of going off the edge of the page. That's so that our flowers don't look like they're floating. Okay, we want them to be anchored. Isn't that a beautiful image? Oh, I love it. Okay, so there are our flowers. Next, we are going to add this sort of, it's just like, it's sort of faded, worn text. And I can't even really, it ranges of color, shapes. It looks like it's something from a garden book. Okay, so we're going to stamp that in the pale papaya. So I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it several times. Now when you're collage stamping, you need to just commit and not worry or second guess yourself. You're just going to stamp a bunch of times wherever. Okay, that's what collage stamping is about, and that's why I love collage stamping. It's just like, just wing it. There's not really any wrong way to do it. All right, next we are going to stamp this beautiful flower using fresh Freesia. So I'm going to pull that in and ink that guy up, and we're going to add a couple of flowers here and there. Look at how beautiful that image is. Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Next, we are going to add the spatters. So our spatters are going to be done in the soft succulent. Now, I actually inked the stamp and stamped off on this one because I wanted it to be nice and subtle. So we're just going to ink our spatter stamp, and we're just going to add some really subtle texture. This is super quick. Collage stamping is easy, and it is not anything that you need to really think too hard about. Okay, so there are my spatters. And then finally, we need to bring in our polished pink. So I'm going to use this little bitty flower. And once again, I'm going to ink it and stamp off. Oh, I got a nasty halo there. Let's get rid of that before we try to stamp. There we go, a little bit gentler. These are super juicy because I just got them. So we're going to stamp or ink and then stamp off on each one. And if you don't, you get a faded image, that's okay. Oh, I got a halo again. I am ink or stamp challenge today. Normally I never get halos. Today I'm getting lots. So just add a couple more of these guys, and there are our little flowers. Okay, and the cool thing about collage stamping is you won't even notice that halo there because there's so much else going on. Now this is really pretty as it is, but I wanted to sort of pull all those colors together and mute them just a little bit more. So that is where my trusty blending brush comes in. And I'm going to pull back in my Evening Evergreen ink pad and just pick up some ink with my blending brush. And I'm going to start in this bottom right corner. And I'm just going to be coming onto my cardstock, adding really subtle shading to this bottom corner. And what that's going to do, it's going to mute the ink colors a little bit and just sort of pull them all together and give it sort of a vintage, sort of aged look. So let's just apply a little bit of ink here. And you can make this as dark or as light as you like. I really like having a fair bit of ink because I just feel like it just sort of adds a little bit of a moody quality to the design. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to add a little bit more down here. And we'll just add a little bit more over this one, just so that the freesia sort of fades into the background a little bit more. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I so love this. Thanks, Deb. I love it too. And it's so easy. That's the thing. Collage stamping is just so pretty and easy. All right, so we need to stamp our sentiment. So our sentiment is from the same stamp set, the Quiet Meadow stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it in the soft succulent. So we're just going to ink that up. I've just got a scrap piece of cardstock here. So we're going to ink that, and then we're going to punch it out using our double oval punch. Now this is a wider strip than I probably needed to use, but that's okay. So we'll just center that in there, pop it out. And we're going to texture this just a little bit. So I have my spatter stamp that's still inked from when I stamped on my cardstock. So I'm just going to take and add just a really gentle spatter there. I didn't even re-ink it. Same thing goes for my sort of text stamp. I'm going to stamp off once and then just stamp on my label just to add a little hint of texture. And then again, I'm going to come in with my little flower stamp and just add a couple of those here and there as well. All right, really subtle. Didn't pick up any more ink. It was just whatever was left on the stamp to add just sort of a faded bit of texture to that. So then here I have the other oval, the scalloped oval that is part of that double oval punch. So we're going to go ahead and layer those. So we'll add a little bit of adhesive there. And pop that on nice and straight. And here we need to add a little bit of linen thread. So linen thread is my go-to. It's the Swiss Army knife of card making because it works with just about every card design. So I'm going to go ahead and add a glue dot to the back of my stamped panel. And I've taken a length of linen thread. I've folded it in half because I'm not going to actually wrap my thread around. I find that wasteful. I just like to use my linen thread where I'm going to see it. Why waste perfectly good linen thread on the back of the card where nobody's going to see it? So I've added 2 glue dots, one on each side. I'm just going to wrap the ends and press them into the glue dot. Okay, you can see what it looks like from the back there. And that way I'm not wasting thread covering the back side of my card. Okay, so there is my thread on my panel. I'm ready to glue that onto my card base. So once again, I have an Evening Evergreen card base. It is 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll fold that in half along our score line. And then we'll add a little bit of seal to the back of our panel. Oh, we have an empty seal. I forgot to refill it last week. Good thing I have an extra right here. Let's just add a little bit of adhesive to the back of this. Come on. And we're going to pop that on. Just like that. And I love the way having the Evening Evergreen card base just sort of pulls the whole card together. We're going to add our sentiment with a couple of dimensionals as soon as I dig them out from my mess here. So we'll get rid of our backings. Come here, you. Didn't want to come off that one. And we'll pop that on. We just want to make sure our thread is straight. And it's going to go on right about there. Okay. And then we're going to tie our little bow. So once again, I'm going to double a thickness of thread. And I'm going to make my bow. So to make this particular bow, I'm just going to make a loop that I'm going to hold in my right hand. I'm going to have a tail kind of hanging out to the left. Using my left hand, I'm going to bring that loop around and then pull it through. And that gives me my bow without actually tying a knot. All right. It just makes for a slightly less bulky knot when you're using twine and the linen thread. Gives you a slightly prettier bow. Okay, just want to pull those nice and tight. We're going to trim that off the roll. And that is going to get added just sort of at the corner there where the label overlaps the thread. So we'll just add a glue dot to the knot of our bow. And then just kind of press that into place. Just make sure our tails are going where we want them. And that is that. Now on this one, my bling is provided by yet another new embellishment I've already used all of the pale papaya ones. These embellishments have two colors. There's the soft succulent and the pale papaya. Can't remember what they're called right now, but they're really pretty. And mine are almost gone. So there you go. That's how pretty they are. So I'm going to pick up a couple of these and just tuck them in sort of here and there on my card front, just to add a little bit of sparkle. And I stuck it to my grid paper there, and there you go. Okay, now on the inside here, look at the difference in these images stamped on white as opposed to the Sahara Sand. Such a noticeable difference. It's hard to believe they're the same shades of ink. Okay, all right, so that is number 2. Now I need to clear away the 50,000 stamps that I have out here, because this particular card used a lot of them. So let me just make some space. Oh, I should not have put my ink colors away though, because I need those inks for the last card. There we go. Alrighty, last card is this fun one. Now, this one is a party card. I just love it. Everybody needs party cards in their stash because you never know when you need to send somebody a celebratory card. I don't know about you, but right now I'm looking for any reason at all to celebrate. There's not a lot happening in the world that is cause for celebration. So anytime there's something happens that is worth celebrating, I definitely want to recognize it with a fun card. So this one uses the new In Color Shimmer Vellum, and oh my goodness, it is gorgeous. I'm not sure how well that shows up on the camera, but the vellum has this beautiful shimmer and shine to it that is just stunning. Now, I wish I could show you sheets of this stuff, but again, I've used all of mine up. I literally had little tiny scraps left and I wanted to use it, which is why I'm only using 1/4 inch strips on this card. Okay, but I am going to show you a little tip for how to glue the vellum down without having your adhesive show through, because that's kind of always the challenge when we're dealing with vellum, right? So let me just pull out all my bits. There are a lot of them, all my little strips of vellum. Let me pull out these strips and maybe I can help or see if I can catch the light. So can you see, does that show the shimmer on the vellum? It is just so pretty. I'm hoping that that shows on the camera. All right, so I'm going to show you how to glue this on. So I'm starting with a slightly smaller card base than I normally use. This one is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, it's just a teensy bit smaller. And I have here a strip of adhesive sheets. Okay, this is the stuff that you would normally use when you're doing detailed die cuts to glue it down. Okay, I use this stuff all the time on detailed dies. However, this stuff works really, really well for adhering vellum. All right, and not being visible. So to start, I cut this exactly the width, well, actually a little bit less than the width that I'm going to need. Okay, so if I put it on the sample, you can see it's just a teensy bit narrower than what I need. So these 5/4 inch strips work out to 1 1/4 inches. So I cut this just a shade less than 1 1/4. So I'm going to take the backing off as soon as I find where the backing is. Never fails. There it is. So I'm going to take my backing paper off to reveal the adhesive. Come on. There we go. And then I'm going to lay it at an angle across my cardstock panel here and just kind of burnish it. Now I'm not going to stick down these ends because that will stick it all to my grid paper and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to burnish it a little bit and then I'm just going to peel back. Okay, and that's going to leave the adhesive on my cardstock. All right, now it's stuck to my finger. There we go. Now I've got some little bits of adhesives here. If you get it onto your grid paper and it's in your way, you just kind of take your finger and rub it off. It comes off quite easily. So now I have my base of adhesive and now I can go ahead and start layering my strips. So I'm going to start with my Evening Evergreen and I'm going to start right at the edge of my adhesive there. Okay, and then come in with my soft Succulent, and when I'm gluing these I want to make sure that I'm butting them right up next to each other, so nice and tight. Right up close. Let's just make sure that that's not up nice and close. Make sure that's as close as I want it to be. There we go. Okay, and then my pineapple. Not pineapple, papaya, pale papaya. I don't know where pineapple came from. So we're going to again layer that. It's really hard to layer these when I can't get my head right in over top of it. So I'm sorry if you see my head in the camera. Okay, and next we have our fresh Freesia. that. And finally, we have our polished pink. So we'll add that one. And you'll notice my strips are not exactly all 1/4 inch. It doesn't matter. We're just we want that sort of rainbow effect. But that is a really great way to glue down your vellum without the adhesive showing. Okay, so now we're just going to take our snips and trim off the overhang. So I'm just going to trim along the edge of my layer here. Get rid of that. And same thing on this side. And there I go. Okay, so there is my awesome shimmer vellum rainbow using literally scraps of what I had left. Okay, now we're going to have some fun. So we are using, for this particular card, we're using the Color and Contour stamp set. So this is another one that is a standalone bundle. It's not part of a suite. It has awesome florals and some really fun sentiments that have great fonts. Okay, so I'm using the So Happy For You and a spatter. There are so many stamp sets that have spatter stamps in them this time. I'm so excited. Stampin' Up loves me. They know what I like. All right, so I have here just a piece of Post-it note that I cut to width. So it's, again, just a teensy bit narrower than what I need. So I'm going to put that over my vellum because I don't want to get ink on my vellum as I'm stamping. Okay, so I'm going to protect my vellum. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to go kind of from, actually I should be going from light to dark, not dark to light. So I'm going to start with my pale Papaya. I have my spatter stamp here. And I'm just going to randomly stamp just all along that rainbow. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to do is add on my, this is going to be my sentiment panel, okay? I'm going to stamp a little bit, just once, at the top and the bottom of that, just because I have the ink in the stamp bed already. So we'll set that one aside. Next up, we are going to bring in our fresh Freesia. So I'm just going to stamp this off a little bit so that it is mostly clean. And then again, we're going to come in with our spatter stamp, and you want to rotate your stamp as you're doing this. You don't want all of your images to look exactly the same. It's hard to have confetti looking exactly uniform. Okay, and then same thing here. I'm going to add a little bit to the top and bottom of my sentiment panel. Oh, thanks, Martine. You're actually watching me live. You're not watching the replay. You're watching me live. So I'm glad you're joining me live. All right, let's try our soft succulent next. So again, we're going to just ink that up. Add a few spatters of that. Rotate my stamp. Make sure we're getting it random. Okay, and then same thing here. We're going to add a couple on our sentiments. Next up is polished pink. So again, we're going to stamp that off. Make sure it's nice and clean. And we'll bring in our polished pink, and this is where it gets really, really party-like. The pink just pops it up a whole level. So again, we'll just rotate our stamp. Like, honestly, there's no wrong way to do this. It's supposed to look like confetti, right? And then we'll add a little bit to our sentiments. And then last but not least is our evening evergreen. So by going from light to dark, you're actually, don't have to clean your stamp really thoroughly in between, right? If you go from dark to light, you definitely do. But by going from light to dark, it makes it just a little bit easier. So I don't want to overpower my confetti here with the evergreen. The evergreen is quite a dark green. So I'm stamping more on my mask than I am on my card so that I still see the other colors kind of peeking through. Okay, and then again, just a touch on our sentiments, and that is that. Super easy. So now we can peel off our mask, and there we have our fun party card. Isn't that great? Love it. All right, so this is now ready to glue onto our card. Sorry, we're going to do it on a mat before we put it on our card base. So our mat is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and that's going to give a wider border all the way around. Okay, so let's just go ahead and add a little bit of glue there. And we'll pop that on. That's okay, Martine. I'm glad you're joining us live. That's awesome. It's not often that I get to see you live. All right, so there is our background. We're gonna go ahead and layer that on our card base. So we have a thick white card base. It is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. So all of our card bases are the same dimensions today. Scored in the middle at 5 1/2. We'll fold that in half along our score line. And add a little bit of adhesive. And pop that on. And you're going to see I have a very narrow border of white. So I've got a wider black border and a narrower white border on this one. Okay. Now for my sentiment, I have die cut this is actually from the coordinating dies that go with this color and contour stamp set. And there are several different scalloped rectangle dies. And this one is kind of unique because it has, the edges actually have slits in them, which makes it really easy to add ribbon, because when you add ribbon to a scalloped edge, you kind of get the ribbon bumping over it. So I'm going to show you how cool it is and easy to add ribbon to this. But first we have to stamp our sentiment. So this piece is cut to fit inside my frame, and I think it's a little bit wide, so we need to trim that a bit. Where is my trimmer? There it is. We're going to trim off 1/8 of an inch because I think I mismeasured. So what did I cut that? Yeah, it needs to be just a smidge narrower. So we'll take off just a smidge, and that should fit a whole lot better. Yes, it will. All right, so our dimensions on this one are 1 3/8 by 2 3/4. So 1 3/8 by 2 3/4 will give you a nice mat on this particular die cut. Okay, before we glue that down, we have to stamp our sentiment. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment in black. So we'll ink it up. I'm happy to see you live too. That's awesome. All right, so we're going to go ahead and stamp that just in the middle. Okay, isn't that just a fun sentiment? Love the font. And we'll add a little bit of glue and pop that onto our die cut mat. All right, and then the magic happens. So I have here some of our black organdy glitter ribbon. Thank goodness this is continuing. It's carrying over because I use this stuff all the time. And this is one of the rare occasions I'm actually going to wrap ribbon all the way around because it's just a narrow little bit and tie a bow. All right, so what I can do is take and just open up that little slit in the die cut, slide my ribbon in. Okay, pull it around the back and then out the other side. So it looks like my ribbon is going all the way around, okay, but it's actually coming up underneath through that die cut, which is just so cool. So I'm going to give myself lots of length to tie my bow and then trim it off the roll because it is much easier to tie when it's not attached to a roll. And then we're going to go ahead and tie our bow. Now, it is much harder to tie a bow if you are in the habit of tying bows on a flat surface. So if you tend to wrap your ribbon around your card or your panel and tie that way, it is much harder. If you have trouble tying bows, I will totally give you the fact that it is hard to tie bows when you are tying around or on a flat surface. Okay, so it requires a lot of dexterity, but it can be done. As I just showed you. The trick is to make sure you have lots of length, okay? And give yourself lots of length, because if you try to work with a really short piece, it can be really frustrating. All right, so I'm going to trim my tails off. These extra little bits I will use on something else. So we'll trim them off. That one's still a little long. And this is going to get adhered to the front of our card with some dimensionals. So we'll add 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 in the middle for good measure. And we'll get rid of our backings. Come on. There we go. And then that is just going to go in the center of my card. Center-ish, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to bring back some of these gorgeous gems, and we're just going to add one of each color sort of randomly through the spatters here, just to add a little extra sparkle and bling. I feel like my voice is starting to go. I have been talking for 6 hours straight today. Teaching online requires a lot of endurance, shall we say, when it comes to your speaking voice, because I am live synchronously with my students for 5 hours a day. So it's a lot. Anyway, there is my finished card. Now, did I do anything? I didn't do anything on the inside of my sample. So there is my finished card. You could certainly add some more spatters on the inside and a congratulations or whatever sentiment you would like. But that is that. So let me pull back all 3 of our projects for today. I'm going to get this messy grid paper out of the way so that you can have a clean canvas to look at them all together. So there we go. There's that one. And the other 2. So it's amazing how different the in colors look depending on what stamp set you use them with and what other colors you coordinate them with. They're fantastic. I have not loved a set of in colors this much in a very long time. So I hope you enjoyed that little sneak peek. Yes, Laura, that vellum is gorgeous. It needs to go on your list. Absolutely. All right, hope you enjoyed that little sneak peek of the in colors. Next week, you're going to want to set a reminder. I will not be live at 5. I will be live at 7 for my live launch party for the new annual catalog. So I will have prizes. I will have surprises. I will have tons of product showcase. I will have lots and lots of projects to share with you, and we're going to have some fun. So set a reminder next week, Tuesday, May 4th. I will not be live at 5. Don't look for me at 5. I will be live at 7 during prime time. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. Make sure you're following me all week long because I'm going to feature each in color individually over the next 5 days. All right. Have a great evening, everyone, and I will see you next week for my live launch party. Bye for now.